Hi, I'm Kevin and welcome to the Warrior in You and Warrior Wednesday. This week I want to talk about the transition of going from your traditional karate or Tang training to applying the techniques in self-defense. There is a difference, and a lot of times people get confused, especially when they're newer students, new to the martial arts. They'll practice, say, one-step sparring, and they'll think that that is the self-defense technique. That's how you will apply it if you are attacked on the street. And that's not the case. The same thing with forms. You practice your forms, the techniques are real techniques, but when you actually transfer them over to applying them in a self-defense situation, things change, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, the biggest thing, and this isn't going to be a long video because it's not a big concept, but the biggest thing you need to remember is that when you go from your traditional training to self-defense, everything gets compacted, okay? When you do your one-step sparring and you're doing your blocks, you're doing the traditional blocks. You may step outside, do a block, and then strike in the traditional manner, okay? You may wind up to do your block or come here and you're extending way out to do your blocks and your strikes. Those things get compacted, all right? And what I mean by compacted is your techniques for self-defense application should never go beyond your shoulder width. From here to here, it should stay within shoulder width and no higher than your head, just above your head and to your groin. No higher. This rectangle is where your technique should stay, all right? Because if you're standing here and you're in the self-defense situation, your primary focus, aside from getting out of there and avoiding it altogether, is to protect your main targets, which is your groin, your solar plexus, you know, your throat, the centerline targets. So if you're here, and somebody throws a straight punch, my outside block, traditionally, now turns into this, okay? It turns into this. It's still blocking, covering my center line, but I'm not coming out here with it and opening up my side, and I'm not going past, exaggeratingly past, and opening up my ribs. Everything is quick and it's done here. Okay, same thing if you happen to do the inside block. It's not going to come down and around and out here or wherever your style stops it. It's going to go from here, and if I step to the side, I may parry, and it's just going to come straight up. Again, inside of my shoulder width. High block, which isn't used very often, but if you have an overhead strike, I'm not coming way up here, all right? I'm going to come here. I may duck. I'll move, because remember, you're constantly moving. It's not like your one-step sparring where you're just taking one step and staying there and going through all your techniques. If a technique comes, you're moving out of the way. You're moving around. So if there's an overhead strike, I'm going to step to whatever side, and that block's going to come up, but it's still just high enough so it doesn't strike me on top of the head, okay? I'm not coming exaggeratingly high and opening myself up. And when it comes to the low block, you never low block a kick. If somebody's going to kick you to the groin, if they're going to try and kick you up to the midsection, that's different, all right? You may block it and maybe try to catch that arm, but still, everything is here and it's compact, all right? You're here. Everything is within that shoulder range. Most often, your opponent is going to be striking at your center line. So you're going to be defending your center line. If they're a beginner, they have no training whatsoever, and you see it all the time online, they throw a looping punch. Instead of trying to block it way out here, that looping punch, if you're staying compact and you see that, you'll see it coming from a mile away. If you're focused and you're being attentive and you see that punch coming, you can step straight in and strike on that side before that punch even gets to you and get the first strike in. If not, and you're going to block, you can turn and deal with that punch or deal with it here, but you're still, it looks like my hand is outside, but when I turn, it's still within shoulder width. So I'll deal with it, but I'm also conscious of this other hand coming. So your techniques will all be modified. A high block, instead of going from here, is going to be here, and it's going to come straight back. You're not going to leave it there. It comes up and it blocks. Inside block, instead of here, it's going to be here. Inside, other side. Outside block is not winding up at all. It's coming from here, straight across, and low block, if it happens, it's coming down and up. You're not leaving your hand down. Always come back up to the guard and be ready to strike. Everything happens within that rectangle. So try that when you transition and when you're sparring in class. If you're going from, at the end of class, most of the times they end with free sparring. When you're free sparring, try that. Keep here. You know, keep your blocks and your strikes and your defense tight. Don't try to use your traditional blocks in free sparring. Once you put those gloves on, it's almost like self-defense. Start using it in your free sparring. Keeping everything compact inside that rectangle. Give it a try. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any other future videos. And share this video with other people that you think may benefit, especially if they're new students to the martial arts, because a lot of times this gets confusing where you're learning one way and learning the traditional ways of doing it. And even when you go to free sparring, you're trying to apply it and things just don't seem right. That's why, because there's a difference between learning the techniques traditionally and applying them in self-defense. There is a difference, and that transition can be made a lot smoother if you just keep this one aspect in mind, that everything gets compressed. So again, if you have any comments or you have any questions on this video or anything else, or there's something else you want to see in future videos, be sure to leave a comment down below. Until next week, keep training hard. God bless, and we'll see you then.